Okay. Welcome, Anthony, Mohave Comedy. Club, connection, just Mohave Comedy.
Yeah, just kind of a performance group of guys just in the area.
Yeah, I remember seeing you guys, I think I've seen you at Sundowner. I've seen you down at Topak 66.
Yes.
You guys get around, they say.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is good. So this is the Business Buzz, but the Business Buzz doesn't have to be just, your standard, for-profit businesses or non-profit businesses. It's kind of like anybody in our community that interacts, does stuff, entertainment, artists, anything that involves kind of our community and getting them, out of their house and doing other stuff. So these episodes, we kind of try to dive down a little bit into why people are doing what they're doing, how you even got started in this.
Okay.
So we have questions that we'll ask, but really the beginning of it is just kind of tell us a little bit about your story of why comedy? How'd you get into it? When how young were you when you decided that you were funny or other people did?
Yeah, I was watching a lot of stand-up when I was young. Back in the late 80s, early 90s, there was kind of that boom going on. And our local affiliates and stuff growing up had a show called the Sunday Comics, and I used to watch it. And then the next day in the playground, just copy almost word for word everything you saw, and then that's how you start learning kind of performance skills and things. And then just had always kind of had a desire to do it, but too much of a fear.
Oh yeah,
and horrible stage fright and social anxiety and stuff. And then
that's the number one.
And then I was in Hawaii and went and did an open mic there and started about 10 years ago.
Oh, cool. Is that with a shirt?
Yeah,
okay.
It's just kind of what
you theme it out after that. That's cool.
Yeah, and then I lived out there. I lived in the South Pacific in Hawaii for about 10 years.
Wow.
Nice. And then, so another question that I would have is kind of how do you come up with your material that you have? Is there a creative process? Do you kind of base it off, like you said, you were watching stand-up comedy for the longest time? Do you kind of...
Well, sometimes it just, something comes to you while you're driving.
Right.
Or something happens. I got, a family, so sometimes something will happen with the wife or the kids, and of course that pops in. And then there's some instances where you're like, you know what, I need to sit down, I need to write. Because it is kind of it's a hobby, but it's a little bit of a job.
Yeah.
And you have to set aside a time where you're like, okay, I'm going to devote this amount of time. Yeah. And you just put a notebook in front of you, and you just think okay, I want to talk about when I went to Malaysia, or I want to talk about when I, was with the CDC, or you just kind of try to figure it out that way.
So you have a little master notebook that has all of the notes.
I have a notebook I bought in 2010 in Maui at a Walmart that I still use. It's like a little memo book.
That's cool.
And I took a 9-year hiatus from stand-up, but I kept writing because I thought it'll never see the light of day, but it's there if I ever wanted to.
Yeah.
So you said that you did a show in Hawaii. That was your first one?
Yeah, there was I lived on an island called Saipan in Micronesia. It's 12 miles long and 2 miles across.
Whoa!
And it's
skinny.
It's kind of in between Japan and Australia. And I worked out there for a while. And
nice.
I had a friend from Brooklyn that owned a bar there. And one time he was like, just go up. And then that was kind of the first trying to make people laugh. Because it's easy to do it on a bar stool when you're next to people.
Yeah.
But then when you go okay, you're going to go stand in front of everybody.
And everybody's waiting.
And then I did that twice there. And then that was it. And then I went to Hawaii 2 years later, and there was an open mic.
That's cool.
And I was terrified, but I told everyone at work, and that was a way of kind of forcing.
Yeah.
Because if it was just me deciding to go, I wouldn't have done it.
Right.
But I felt obligated, and I think that was a good thing to do.
Yeah.
Right.
You hype up the build up, then you got to definitely
and then
deliver.
Next thing you know, there's 12 people we're going, and I'm like,
You're
I got to do this now, man. I can't just pretend I did it. I did it.
Yeah. So having your first time ever going up for an open mic or anything, would you say that's your most memorable moment, or is there one that really sticks out?
Yeah, that's definitely one of them. I think the second time I went up in Hawaii, I did a joke, and there were some guys who had been doing it for quite a while, and they were in the back of the room, and I remember them kind of giving a thumbs up and stuff, and I was like, oh, okay, wow, that felt really good. It's like a swish or a swing, and it was just okay, that's what you're going for, is that feeling.
Oh yeah, I mean, because the crowd is nice. You feel the crowd, but when other people in your
those guys. And I was like, oh wow, and they had opened for comedians there in Maui, and Rob Schneider and Tom Green and everything, and so they were giving a thumbs up, and I was just like, okay, that was nice, and that kind of stuck in my head of
you're on the right track, right? Yeah. So so you've been literally doing it since a little kid in the 80s.
Yeah, I did
like
it
starting to practice.
Yeah, in the playgrounds, and you figure it out. Middle school, just with
part
friends.
of your personality.
I had a friend in middle school, and we were like obsessed with SNL and and everything. So we would do skits during lunch and stuff, and you don't really know that you're doing it, but you're kind of priming yourself up for it.
Yeah, yeah. Did you get any superlatives? Like, were you like class clown or actor? Most likely to be an actor.
Yeah, but I was really quiet mostly. I still am. People don't really believe that I go up because I'm usually pretty mellow. I'm a hide in the corner type person, and people usually don't believe that I do stand up a lot because people who haven't known me a long time, because I am very kind of quiet and But I told them, I was like, I don't really see it as like a social activity.
Right.
It's kind of like, hey, I think this is funny, and then I just go hide in the corner when I'm done.
Right. Yeah.
But stand up is a conversation. You're technically, because you're speaking, but you're getting feedback from nods or laughs or claps and things. You're getting feedback. It's kind of a conversation, but it's just not
kind of basing off of that. Like a lot of comedy that I've watched or seen in the past, most of it addresses societal issues that are kind of going on. Like, do you incorporate that type of stuff? And like, if you do, like, how do you kind of feel around the crowd when bringing that sort of stuff up?
Yeah, you can tiptoe around it and get laughs just by like, whoa, just tiptoeing around it. The thing I found, no matter where, like Hawaii here, it's you can get away with a lot by being clever. Clever can really get you, being likable and clever, you can get away with a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Like if you go up in front of an audience and the first few things you say is something controversial or really vulgar or really, like, you immediately can just lose them. But if you get up there and you're likable for a few minutes and then you're like, they trust that you know what you're doing.
Right.
So you can say, this premise sounds crazy, but I promise you we're going to... Because I have a few jokes where I throw out a left. And you can hear the audience kind of like, and then you just boom, and then...
Bring them back
so the rest of the show, if you do that left again, they're waiting for it, and then bring them right back. And they trust you to drive the car.
Yeah.
That's what I told the other guys. I'm like, you flow your premises. It's like, smooth lane changing, throwing your blinker on, So try to make it flow well, and they're going to trust you to drive the car.
Yeah.
If you're hitting your brakes and stuttering and jerking the car around, they're not going to want to be there with you.
Yeah, I think that's one thing that you notice when you go to stand-up comedy, and you have like the person that's new and is not in the flow yet. They don't have the rhythm down. The like you're talking about, like the little stutters here and there, and it just makes it so you can't get comfortable with that comedian.
Yeah,
which
it's
is
too jarring. It's like tapping the brakes.
Yeah.
When they go from one idea to the next, sometimes there's kind of a jar there.
Yeah.
So
but
I keep trying to tell the guys, man, create your transitions and.
And are you from Arizona originally?
No, I'm originally from West Texas.
Oh, okay, cool.
Midland, Odessa. I was an oilfield chemist for a while, and then.
Oh, wow.
Now I'm a clinical laboratory scientist.
That's neat.
So, and then I do this kind of on the side.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Wow, what a crazy. That's a deep bucket of things that you could be digging through to think of humor. I mean, when you're dealing with anything to do with that. I mean, oh my God.
Well, I had one joke where I said, I tell people I work in a biological lab, and the first thing they ask me is like, are you scared of diseases? And I said, well, with the life I've lived, the blood should worry about getting me on it.
Yeah. That's crazy. That's a cool career path, though. Jeez.
Yeah, originally I came out here with Warren C. in Bullhead City.
Yeah.
And then transitioned over to Valley View, but I've been here since 2014.
Oh, okay. Do you have family out here? Like kids?
No. Well, I have family.
Your own family.
My own family, but I didn't have anyone out here prior. I just moved out.
Do you have like young kids, old kids?
16 and 13.
Do they watch your comedy?
Some of them, yeah. We've done some clean shows and they've watched, and I do have some reels that are pulled out from stuff, and they've seen that.
So they see it. Do they think it's cool, or do they think it's like, oh, Dad, you're so crazy for doing this?
My son, I've gotten recognized at just at Sam's and stuff.
Oh yeah.
I went to get his phone screen repaired, and those people kept looking at me and like, oh, you do the shows at Miracle Mile.
Cool. Yeah.
And then he was at his friend's house one time, and they were his friend's parents were talking about going to see one of the shows, and that it was really good last time. And then he was like, "Oh yeah, that's the one doing that." They're like, the Hawaiian shirt guy. He's like, "Yeah, the Hawaiian shirt guy."
See, that's
and they were like, "Oh, okay, yeah, we know who that is."
Yeah, it's your staple thing now.
And then we're starting to try to focus more on doing like PG 13-ish cleaner shows.
Yeah.
And I've told the guys, work on your setups and work on your premises and try and rework some of your punches.
Yeah.
To go that way, because it's something good to have in your pocket.
Yeah.
You know, it's really good. We're doing Corn Fest in Bullhead City.
Yeah.
And I did that about 2 years ago.
Oh, cool.
And it really helps you. Sometimes I think it's good to put a box around you.
Yeah.
And force you to stay writing within a box.
Yeah.
And in that process, you're going
practice.
to come up with stuff you can't use then, but you can use it later.
Right.
And you mentioned earlier that
You
like,
get more creative.
Yeah.
something will
sense.
happen with inside of your family that you can kind of
Draw from.
Like, do your kids ever like no, you can't use that, like, please don't, like, that's like something embarrassing or something
know
just
it's
like
about
crazy,
me.
like,
Yeah,
no,
my
it's
wife
me.
does that quite a bit.
She's like, yeah, every time you say my spouse, my wife, or
Yeah.
anything, they all know.
And then my wife's from the Philippines, and we met out in the South Pacific.
Oh, how cool.
And so, just kind of figuring each other out those first few years. We've been together
Yeah.
19 years, but just figuring
Yeah.
each other out for a while.
Yeah.
Like, that created a lot of material and
Oh, I
stuff to use.
bet. Yeah.
And there's a lot of times on stage I'll do stuff, and she's like, don't tell on us. And I'm like, people know this is a joke. It's true, but they know it's a joke.
Yeah. That's funny.
It's a kernel of truth, and you just water it with exaggeration, you know, mostly.
Right. And then in your career that you've experienced, have you ever like ran into any like famous people, special guests, had people come on stage to do a show that
Not like super famous, well known, but people that I knew about
right.
and really, really liked. I did the comedy festival in Flagstaff last year, the Just Another Comedy Festival, and we did shows at the Orpheum. And there was a comedian named Craig Gass who was on the Stern Show.
Oh, yeah.
Back in the early 2000s, he was auditioning with Artie Lang to take Jackie Martlin's spot.
Wow.
And when I was in Texas, I used to pick that up, and I used to hear him, and like, oh, that was really funny. And I would go on YouTube dives, you know, in the early aughts,
yeah.
like looking him up. And then him and I were on a show together last year, and
That's cool.
just someone that I know
The full
and someone that
circle.
I really,
Yeah.
you know, am really, you know, a fan of, to just see them kind of, and they're talking to me like I'm a person and everything. Like, it was just really odd to me.
Yeah, that's cool, though. That's really neat.
And then you mentioned that you worked in a lab, correct?
Yes.
So how do you kind of maintain a balance between having the comedy club where you guys travel and do the shows, and then also having your main career that you have, and then obviously have your family stuff going on? Like, what's kind of the balance between all of that look like for you?
It was a juggling act for because hospitals are always short staffed, and so I was doing like 60 hours a week, and plus maintaining all the social pages and trying to write and talk to managers and owners and wrangle, you know, all of our performers together and keep everyone up to date. And it was just really tough, but it was basically setting aside time of like, okay, this is when I'm going to do this. And this is when I'm going to do this. Sometimes at work, I'll be able to go over stuff in my head, like while I'm doing things,
Yeah.
or I'll be like, oh, good, and I'll write it down on a piece of paper if something comes to mind.
Yeah.
And so just kind of mixing the two, but keeping them separate. If that makes no sense at all, but a lot of sense, I guess.
Do you ever see it like going further? Like, do you ever see yourself getting to a point where you're like, you know what, I'm going all in on this comedy thing, and I'm jumping on this tour bus that's heading across the country because I was invited by my favorite comedian?
Yeah, if I was invited, yeah. As far as like, I'm going to drop everything and go to LA and try and get it, like, no.
No, yeah.
I never had dreams of like a Comedy Store or anything like that. I just had dreams of wanting to go up and be like, I think this is funny. Does anyone agree with me?
Right.
And like, so I'm kind of weird in that way of like, I don't really
Yeah.
I have no LA dreams. I have no Comedy Store dreams.
Okay.
Like, I just enjoy like what I'm doing now.
Yeah.
I just like it. Even when I was in Hawaii, I was like, if I stay here and do this in Maui forever, like I don't it's fine.
Right.
And I'm doing a set at the LA Comedy Club in Edgewater tomorrow night.
Oh, neat.
So I think once I get into there and start having more of like a club atmosphere and get that kind of experience, and then maybe go do some in Vegas or something. But as far as all that, like I'm just really happy.
Yeah, you're happy where
with
you're
I
at.
am.
If something takes you, you know, then you're not gonna be against it necessarily, but you're not like seeking it out.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah, that makes sense.
I want to improve and, you know, keep getting better, but at the same time, like I enjoy what I'm doing.
Yeah. Yeah, you don't ever want to make it into a job, in a sense. You know, you always want it to be something fun, like a hobby that you're going to
I don't want to be scared that like mortgage depends on it.
Yeah.
Not that I don't have faith in myself, but at the same time, I mean, you know,
Right.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Let me get that outlet and still be safe. Kind
Yeah.
of.
Right.
Yeah.
Let me play it safe.
What would you say is like one of the most surprising things about running the comedy club that people might not really know? Obviously, you have to, like you said a few minutes ago, like you have to manage everybody's calendars, make sure everybody's up to date, you know, make sure they're still writing content, coming up with new things, finding new venues to book. Like what would be the most surprising element that people don't really think about when thinking about running?
I think people would know
club?
that it's work. But yeah, I guess that again, it's work.
Right.
A lot of effort and a lot of time, because you think, oh, you just go up there and like chuckle, 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 and then
Right.
run away. But like, there's a lot that leads up to that. There's a lot involved while you're up there, and then there's a lot involved afterwards, because you've got people coming up to you who, you know, are interested and wanting to go up, and you have owners and managers that want to talk to you, and
Right.
all the other guys kind of want like a rundown of how they did, and being, I've kind of was put in the position as the lead person because there wasn't anything out here.
Yeah.
So I got to a point where my desire to perform kind of overtook my fear of people, I guess.
Yeah.
And so I just created the page as like a bat signal, and I'm like, who else wants to do this? You know,
Yeah.
here's a weird cactus with a microphone. Come follow if you want to, and let's figure out
That's pretty cool.
what to do. And so I just became de facto leader because I had kind of that drive to do it.
Kind of create it as an organized thing.
And then, so there, I was like, you know, let there be something out here.
Right. How many people are there total right now?
We've got 9 performers
Wow,
now.
that's good.
Yeah.
Do you get every once in a while someone that tries to? Have you ever had it? Well, let me rephrase that. Have you ever had it where someone came and said, "I want to do this," and I don't know what's the interview process like? First of all, second of all, then they performed, and you're like, "No, we can't. This guy is not ready for this," or girl, and you had to be like, "Listen, you're not ready. You know,
Yeah.
go like train, learn. Here's some tips. Here's some places you can learn, or you know, maybe you need to look at doing something different."
Yeah.
Has there ever been that moment like?
Yeah, there's tact, but there's also a way to kind of be like,
you gotta be
hey,
nice.
you know, you really need to go at it. Yeah, we all started kind of in the same position. It was just I had done it, and then I crashed some music open mics to try and do something, just because I wanted to go up really bad.
Yeah.
And then there was a guy in Needles who's part of our group now, Jesse Hart. He started, he wanted to do a comedy open mic at Red Dog. And so when I went and did that, I was like, oh, okay, I think I can do this. And then did that, and then we would have people coming up. It was, you know, originally there were like 2 or 3 of us starting out, and then I would fill in at the end, do like 30 minutes to try and fill the night.
Right.
Because we did like a show / like open mic.
Yeah.
And then people would come up and they would do well, and then we would say, hey, do you want to open the show and do like 3 or 4 minutes at the next show, and then you know, eventually start weaving people in, and we
that's a
brought it up
good
to
way
9.
to find some new people, is having those open mic type nights, and just
we've been setting those up. We were calling them joke gyms, so that people could go and we could work out new material, and then other people could come up and
that makes sense
and do it. And that's how we found a lot of our, well, all of us, you know, started that way.
Wow.
But we'll have some people that come up and be like, hey, I'm really funny at work, and I want to go up, and we'll tell them it's a completely different animal up there. Like when you go up there, it's like a time vortex. Like it's just this weird energy around you, and if you're not used to it, man, it can just whack you. And they'll go up and just and then boom, and we're like, see, you got to get used to that. And you know, if you want to keep coming and you want to keep going up, like we'll keep watching
improvements, and
we can fold you in. You know, if you start getting your legs to you, we can.
Yeah, I gotta say, public speaking is one of those fear things. You know, I mean, I remember I had to speak at city council like, I don't know, a couple months ago, and I hadn't done it in a long time, and it was tough. Like, oof, man, I was like holding my phone, reading notes, and I was shaking, and I was like, what the hell is going on? I had done it before, and but it's just something I guess you just don't get used to it, and you hear that a lot from like really famous actors who are still like, I still get stage fright, or musicians who got on stage in concerts, and they're like, you still get the butterflies, you still get that nervousness, but that's the difference between a performer and a not performer, is the ones that get that fear, they go out there, and then all of a sudden they can just get comfortable and connect with their audience.
There's a switch that flips. Everyone tells me, they're like, you don't look
you don't
nervous
look
at all, and I'm like, my leg is twitching like a tuning fork. And for 3 years now, I've been to like every single show. We've done 56 shows since September 2020.
Whoa.
And I've been to every single one of them, and every single one I'm just a wreck.
You still feel it,
I'm a wreck. And then I'll go up there and like do, and then people are like, don't look like it at all. And I'm like, well, I'm terrified.
Oh, good. I
gotta go hide now.
You gotta give me,
My social
10
fuel
minutes.
is drained.
Yeah, I know, it burns.
Before every show, they're always making fun of me. They're like, look, you're gonna die. And I'm like, well, I feel like it. And they're like, of everyone, you should not be the most worried. I'm like, well, I am. I'm very worried.
Yeah, it's just this thing. I don't know what it is, but.
And then I had a joke one time. I said that I can perform for all of you, but I can't speak to any of you.
Yeah, exactly.
Like that's what it feels like. It's like I can come up here and say, I think this is funny.
Yeah.
And throw a POV around the room and then be like, I'm gone.
Right.
And then somebody comes up to me after a show and I'm just like,
hey,
you want to go talk to the other guy?
yeah. Let me introduce you. Here's everybody else.
So you said that you guys are doing, was it the Corn Fest is what it was?
Yes.
Upcoming events.
Corn Fest
upcoming events, and then you have the Edgewater tomorrow?
Yes, tomorrow night at 9 I'm doing a guest set at the...
Awesome. Is there any other like big events upcoming that you can kind of give us a sneak peek into?
Yeah, we've got Keeneland Comic-Con coming up there at Bill Celebrations. We're doing... two of our guys are going to open for the band Friday night at 5:30.
Cool.
And then they're going up at... the band's going up at 6. And then Saturday we're going to do like a little show between 5 and 7.
Nice. Cool. Yeah.
And then we're going to have a little booth set up with some like stickers and...
That's the, 29th?
Like 29th, Friday the 29th and Saturday the 30th.
Perfect, yeah.
Nice.
They're at Bill Celebrations. Big Mike Certified setting all that up.
Yeah. I've been seeing a lot of those.
Yeah, it's awesome. I love the store, man. I go in there.
I know.
Yeah,
man.
we were over there for the grand opening.
Yeah, we went there for his ribbon cutting, and it was just, I hadn't had a chance to go there. Like, he'd been there for like a while, but we were busy, and then I finally went there, and I was like, oh my God, this is like stepping back into time, and like toys that you didn't even remember existed.
Yeah, there's like a spark that hits.
You see, and you're like, I remember that.
Yeah, he had like a Bone Age toy that were those bones that you would put together, and I was like, oh my gosh, I had the T-Rexes.
Isn't that crazy that all of those flashbacks from those toys? I mean, you didn't. Well, he's too young.
I'm a little too young, but I mean, we went over there for the ribbon cutting, and this guy walked out with an armful of stuff.
Yeah, a couple $100 of stuff. But it's you just can't help yourself at that point. You know, it's kind of like that. They say like you have big kid money or whatever they call it. Like when you grow up, all of a sudden you can buy all the crap that you.
I did that. Yeah, when Star Wars re-released in the late '90s. I was working in the Oilfield lab. Yeah, and I immediately just started buying stuff up. I was like, I always wanted the Falcon. I always wanted the AT-AT, and I just started rebuying all of it. Yeah, and I still have it.
I remember like what are they called? The Garbage Pail or Patch Kids.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I remember those as far back as like 1986 or 7, and I lived in California. And my
the
buddy
first
had
edition
a bunch
was
of
like
them.
85, I think. 84.
Yeah, and I was like, just loved them. And I was too young really to have those because some of them are pretty crazy.
Yeah, I got in trouble for buying them.
Yeah, my parents wouldn't let me have them, so I had to hide them from them.
Yeah, that's this. Well, my dad's mom was the one that bought them for us, but Dad didn't know because he wouldn't let us take them, but she'd like buy them. Like,
yeah. You got to be a grandma like that. Yeah. Sneaking the ice cream and the sweets and the stuff you're not supposed to have, but. Yeah, very cool. So, what else you got?
That's kind of all the questions I have.
Halloween in Bullhead, October 7th.
Okay, October 7th.
Which is our Halloween show we do every year.
Excellent. Is that the one in Miracle Mile?
Yes. Yep. Miracle Mile. It's the Shriners Club, but they have a room set up for events, and it's free to the public for events.
Neat. Okay.
And then they have a full bar in a separate room, so it's nice to have the room. The space, everyone who's there is there to laugh, and we have a lot of fun at those shows.
Yeah, because you can separate.
The audiences there have been great. Like they come, and from the very moment our host goes up, it's just
awesome.
like so much fun.
We've
done like 2-hour shows there.
Wow,
it's been a lot of fun.
So a question that just popped into my head is like we've talked about like how you feel the crowd out, you go up there, you kind of can tell the jokes and feel how they react to it. How do you deal with like hecklers? Have you ever had any that you've had to like? That have gotten to a point where it was like serious, and you had to like, all right, like get this guy out of here.
There's like a process that you're going to learn as you go. When it first happens, you're just like, I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
And I've been like teaching the guys. I'm like, if it happens, you have to comment on it. You can't just like
you can't ignore it.
Even anything, a heckler, like a glass falling down, or something. You got to comment on it because it creates kind of like this atmosphere of like we're part of something.
Yeah.
And if you're not gonna like be in the moment and live and stuff, you're gonna lose the audience. Plus, I mean, they could just watch something on TV.
Right.
If it's gonna be like that.
Right.
But usually, a lot of times, the most heckling that you get is like somebody talking to each other at a table.
Yes.
Just being kind of loud. That's like 80% of it.
Yeah.
And a lot of times, like I'll just stop and I'll stare at the person talking.
Just wait.
And eventually they stop and I'll be like, I'll just wait, and I'll just stare at them for a while and I'll be like, we're good, all right, and then I'll keep going. That usually diffuses it kind of quick, and the crowd kind of laughs. Or
Yeah,
something.
get a little chuckle out of it.
Yeah.
Or I've done it a few times where I'll just stare at the table, and they don't notice I'm staring, and the audience will be laughing. And they're kind of clapping. I'll be like, oh, shh, I want to hear what they're saying. Like,
Yeah.
And then I'll get like another laugh.
Yeah.
And then a lot of times when you have people like directly talking to you, you've got to make a decision. Like, are they malicious? Are they just drunk? Are they doing it to be, you know, aggravated? Are they just doing it because they're drunk and they want to feel like they're part of the show?
Yeah.
And so, and your response should, you know, coincide with like what the situation is.
Yeah.
Because if you go too hard against someone who's just being kind of like mouthy, not malicious, but mouthy, like you can lose the audience because they'll be like, oh, he was too mean to that person.
So that's a hell of a balancing act.
Yeah.
You know, but I'm sure that doesn't happen very often.
Not
certainly because
as
you guys
often.
are Mohave Comedy, so you're they have this assumption that you're all locals. So you're not just some driving through town carnival and you're going to be gone and they'll never see you again, so they don't have to worry about what they say that night. You know, at least there's a little bit of like, hey, these guys are locals.
Oh yeah, I've told
they live and work in this area.
I told someone before, I'm like, this ain't a movie. Like, I can see you. I was like, I'll probably see you at Safeway next week. So,
right. Yeah. Seriously, don't make me mess up your blood work.
Yeah,
exactly.
Your lads are coming back.
Guess who's got hepatitis in the parking lot?
Everybody. Yeah.
So that's usually how it is. 80% of the time, it's just people not realizing how loud they're being.
Right.
Especially when you're in like a room, like especially at the event center or something, like it can
get loud.
Just someone talking at a table can get pretty loud.
Yeah, and then everybody gets loud around them because they're trying to talk over them, and all of a sudden you get this crazy situation. Anything
like
that
the lunchroom at school.
You want to share, anything that you guys are trying to do that you need to make sure that people know about, you know, like, hey, we're trying to find more comedians, or hey, this is the event, we're raising money for Christmas this year, it's going to be a big fundraiser, you know, anything that you can think of that's like you want to have maximum exposure for.
Yeah, we're setting up, we're planning right now with the event center in Bullhead, the Miracle Mile Event Center, about doing probably a toy drive with our Christmas show that we have coming up to try and get donations for that. Yeah. Which is something that we're setting up exactly how we're going to, the logistics of it before we announce it.
Yeah, that'd be good.
And then we're also going to start doing some food drives, which we've done in the past. We were calling them tin can comedy shows, and you would bring food to get in.
Oh, perfect.
And we've done some stuff with Golden Valley Family Resources to help get money and food for their food bank. Yeah. And it's kind of like, since we all live here, we kind of have a want to do things like that. Yeah. Like, this isn't any type of like monetary pursuit, right, or anything. We do get money sometimes from either tickets or the house will pay you up front, but just doing stuff like that is the main reason why we kind of are doing this, or why we started it. Right. Yeah, that's awesome. And when I had the idea for this, originally I just wanted a show, and then it turned into, wouldn't it be cool if I could do a show in each, you know, city like that we have around here. And then that happened, and then came into, okay, now we need to start doing, you know, community outreach shows and community events and things like that. And then now it's kind of like, I wanted this to be an entertainment option for the places around here that don't have like entertainment options. Like, we did a show in Seligman Friday night, last Friday. Oh, cool. And that was crazy. Like, I had no idea that
there's that many people.
Seligman. Well, also in Seligman, in our audience, we had people from Austria. We had Dutch people who actually hung out with us after the show. We had people from Italy. Yeah. Just in this, the crowd was probably about 45 maybe. Yeah, but just super diverse. Yeah, and it was just really amazing that right there. It's also funny to hear them talk about how it's been my dream since I was a little girl to go down Route 66.
Isn't that weird?
Like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Grass is greener type thing, you know?
Yeah, we talk about that a lot.
We talk about, we were in Italy like 3 times last year, and I'm like, oh man, really?
I know. Yeah, it definitely, Route 66 has a crazy appeal, and a lot of people come across, and I mean, I've seen it all. I've seen it from people actually shipping their cars across to Chicago from Germany so that they could drive their own vehicle down Route 66, going all the way to Santa Monica and then shipping it back. Like, so there's this appeal to the idea that you can cross borders without a passport. Yeah. State to state to state to state.
Yeah, it's like going to another country in
Europe almost. And they just don't have that freedom in Europe, and you know, and just be able to pack all your bags up one day and decide you want to live in another state in a different part of the country, and have the same freedoms that you had from the state you left. And like, they think that is just so fascinating, you know, that we're this country that you can do that they want a little piece of it. They want to feel it, you know? So like, having like local comedians at the Seligman place, like what a cool experience, like lifetime, a memories that you just created
Oh, yeah.
for these people. You know, they're going to be sharing. It's pretty cool.
That was great. And then we've done shows in Oatman, outdoor shows.
Yeah.
And we did one in Chloride before.
Yeah.
And just communities like that, or I had an idea of like, wouldn't it be weird if I did a stand-up show in a ghost town? And
Yeah.
so I was like, well, let's do it. You know, let's go for it.
Yeah, that's
we had
cool.
burros like roaming around. It was great. Man. I got heckled by a burro.
Yeah. So what's the best way for people to follow you? Is it your Facebook, Instagram, website? Which one's the one that you want people to make sure?
All three. If you go on our website,
three.
there's links to every single thing that we have. Each comedian on there has a profile that kind of goes over who they are, what they do, and it has their social links on there so you can follow them. Charities that we've done, there's links on there that you can donate to charities that we've done shows with before. We've also got photos from previous events and also some video clips.
Awesome. Okay, cool. Is it Mohave Comedy?
MohaveComedy.com.
Perfect. Easy to remember.
And there on the homepage, we also have events that update
Cool.
as soon as they're out.
Awesome. Well, thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
So everybody follow, I don't even know what camera to look at. There's too many of them. Follow MohaveComedy.com for all the upcoming shows and events that they do. And Anthony Mitchell, when he's on stage, make sure you say, hey, we saw you on the B. All right, bye.